In South Dakota, farming and ranching are a tradition older than the state itself. Producers grow the food, feed, and fuel we all need each and every day. High-quality soybeans are an indispensable crop for today's world. The South Dakota Soybean Research and Promotion Council helps further that mission. Today we visit with soybean farmer Jason Frerichs and some of his family members who are heavily involved in the operation. From humble wives whose work is never done, to previous generations who showed champion swine, even today's youngest generation learning to feed and care for a baby calf, everyone chips in. And although farming can be big business, at the Frerichs outfit, it's still very much a family affair. Just talk a little bit about how important it is to you guys to have a family business and to be continuing that legacy and then hopefully continuing that to the next generation as well, I would assume.
Being multi-generational right now is not only very rewarding, but then certainly looking down the road is important for us. This farm operation has grown a lot, grown just even since I graduated from college, and the same with my older brother Aaron, who I farmed together with. Once he finished up at college, or even during college, he started farming, and then I as well started farming at about that same time. And so we've been fortunate to work with various partners around the neighborhood here. And but you know, really, when I looked at where my role would be in this operation, leaving college, I looked at the void in terms of livestock in our operation. My dad had always raised hogs. That really wasn't quite my passion, and there really wasn't an opportunity to work on the swine side of things. But we had all this pasture, or at least a fair amount of pasture, but it needed fence, and we had to work through that. And so we were able to bring cattle back into the operation. They had been absent for about 10 years. It's all worked out well.
Working pretty close with your brother, and I think probably with your folks as well. It's got to sometimes present some interesting dynamics, probably not always the easiest thing.
Right, you know, it's always a challenge, but I think it's only more of a challenge if you make it out to be, and I think one of the most important things on all of this is communication, and that's really no different than family operation, or if it wasn't a family operation type of business or farm operation. But you know, in terms of just trying to find the correct balance of being able to take care of the busy times and then get back in at home. And I know I'm always trying to update Ashley and say, well, I'm going to be in, and sometimes it isn't right away. And but really trying to make those times count as well, though, when we do have a break in the action. Yeah, this Salford, the whole idea behind this style it's called vertical tillage, and so it's only going to go down. You can see on these blades, it only goes 1 to 2 inch.
Yep.
And so we're just trying to shatter that top, and they're pretty close together to where it's just going to open everything up.
Yep.
And we don't want to.
You're not getting way down in there and disturbing the soil deep. You're just breaking the top up to get a little more penetration.
Just to be able to carry us. So then we'll break it up with this just on top, and then we'll come right in and plant right behind.
So is that what you do with all of your fields?
Well, we run this on a lot of times ahead of where we're going to plant soybeans. Okay. So it'll be corn stalks that may or may not have been worked.
Oh, so that'll chew them up a little bit.
Yep, just incorporate a little bit on top. Most of the time when we're going to plant corn, we actually run a field cultivator, or basically a digger out there. Yeah. And that just kind of lifts everything up, incorporates the fertilizer, and then also if there's any pre-emergence of herbicides. So yeah, we're just right out here in the kind of the yellows, and then Wilmot is just, as the crow flies, 2.5 miles.
Okay.
Or 3 miles when you drive it on the roads, and then we farm. This is all Roberts County up here, but we jump across into Day for a little bit,
Okay.
and then we do travel down into Grant County down here.
Okay.
And so most of our fields though are either west of Wilmot, north and south,
Yep.
or we have a little bit over east here, and then we're down in that Corona area, which is just on the line with Grant County.
So do you find, I mean, what are you, 20 miles here?
I suppose this is about 20 miles out west, so there's probably, we probably cover, 40, 50 miles.
So does that help you get into different areas maybe a little sooner, or harvest them a little differently?
Yep. We try to have, shorter seasons up here in the hills. So the Katota Prairie Hills are right in the middle here. That's where there's no fields. That's all pasture.
Okay, sure.
One of our pastures we have is right up here by Summit, even in the hills.
Yep.
We have some more over in the Marvin area, but otherwise, most of our cattle graze down here in the Whetstone Valley, and so it's the glacier formed this area, and it left obviously some little the Whetstone Creek, and then some other tributaries that flow into that. And so what we graze here is oftentimes what we would call little creek bank areas that are, can't farm those, and it's good to fence them, but now the fences are down because of all the snow.
Yep.
At least in places.
Yep.
So yeah, we have
You
these.
put this together?
Actually, our crop insurance agency. So they work with us to provide a map, and then we use this for our workers. And so at any given time, we may have 10 people working on the farm, and most of them are here.
Keep track of where everybody is, what they're doing. Call the fields by the same name. So.
And they're usually called, if they aren't called by the section where it is in the township, we'll call it by, we might call it Inkfurs, we might call it Harpsteads,
Right.
It's the home quarter, it's Dad's Pivot,
Right.
It's,
Right.
Monroe's. So.
But you just got to make sure all the employees know that too, right?
We do. And it tells them on the...
Wait, I thought you wanted me to spray that one.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's talk about family. This is a successful farm, but it's still a family business. Somewhere along the line, you must have met this gorgeous young lady.
Yeah.
Tell us just a little bit about that.
Once we got married, a year or so, once we started raising children, then we actually started raising registered Duroc hogs.
Okay.
Actually, by the time I was in high school, I already had some registered stock. I don't think either one of us ever told any of our sons that, oh, you got to come back and farm. We were both very excited and appreciative of the fact that that's what they want to do as a vocation. It's very enlightening to see them, as another generation of farmers.
Aaron and Jason, Brian, our youngest, they all work really hard.
But it all comes together, in the end.
Heard from your folks. This is something that goes back generations with both of you. Let's just talk a little bit. Obviously, with a family business, the work of a wife and mother is never done. And then when you expand that to being on a farm as well, you've got a lot of different roles to play. It's got to be hard to juggle all of that.
It is, but I do the best I can.
Yeah, and I'm sure you wouldn't have it any other way. Right. So what do you do, as far as supporting the guys and making sure, especially spring and fall, planting, harvest, it's really busy. I'm sure that amps up a lot of what you have to do around here as well.
Mostly I provide rides, pick them up from this field, drop them off at this. However, I can help different things like that, and then just really taking care of Elizabeth and Violet.
Faye doesn't, get near the credit that she should, for all what she puts up with.
So Faye, why don't you talk to us a little bit about, the often overlooked but extremely important role of the farm wife. especially on an operation like this. I mean, you've got a lot of things to juggle and responsibilities as well, and it might not be what gets the headlines or that people see out, when they're driving by, but it's really important. And I think Ken would say that too, that without a good lady there, things just aren't going to get done. So talk just a little bit about what you've done over the years.
I don't know. I was there a lot for the kids, and they were involved in 4-H and FFA. And I guess, I wouldn't say I do a lot now, but we take care of Jason's little girls quite a bit.
Right.
And when I'm in the mood, I'll come and clean their office. And I make meals for them sometimes in the spring and fall during harvest and planting.
Well, and we've heard that, other places that, spring and fall are so incredibly busy. And when it's time to go, if you've got hundreds or thousands of acres to roll over, there's not time to stop and take an hour or two and go back in and get a good meal. And these guys are working, 18, 20 hours a day sometimes already. But just to have somebody there to keep that process moving and keep some food in these guys, keep some coffee in their belly, that's really important.
All right, remember, you got to hold the bottle up.
And not on your face.
Yeah, all the way. There you go. You want to have it in here? There you go.
Don't put it in front of your face, or she might bump it.
Yeah, that's
put it right
true.
into your head.
This is our first bottle calf that Elizabeth and Violet have helped with.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay, Violet, you want to help too? You help hold. There you go.
Got a hold of it?
So, with the...
So how come, Jason, just kind of for those that didn't hear, how come you have a bottle calf here?
So we have an extra bottle calf here because this is a twin. Mother had a little bull and had a bull and a heifer. The bull calf was bigger, and this is the smaller one of the two. And looking at the mother's condition, she would have all she could do to handle one calf. And so we pulled this calf off, and we actually had lost a calf on a heifer. We tried to foster, but we were unsuccessful. She just didn't want to be a mother.
So it's just going to be easier, better for the calf and the mom to take one of them babies and make it a bottle calf and take it away from the mom.
And we hope we don't lose any other calves, but we'll have an extra one if someone does too. So.
Right.
And
then you can graft this calf onto if you were to lose a calf from another cow's milk, and you can trick them and make them take this one as their baby.
Yep. So what's the name of this little calf? Violet Elizabeth? Yeah.
Violet.
Oh.
Violet Violet?
Yeah. In this pen here, we just have basically pairs that as soon as they've calved, move them into here. It's a transition place. We also can lock them up if they need to, especially heifers when they calve.
Yep.
We're only calving about 50 head here right now in the spring herd, and we have about 40, 50 in a fall calving herd. So.
And then you feed all them all to finish, or?
Sometimes, yeah. Especially this year, we finished. Yep, we'll wash them off. This year we finished a pen of fall calvers, so they'll go all the way. Yep. But normally we sell these spring calvers in the wintertime. Sell them backgrounded.
Yep.
We're fortunate here in this area to where we have, whether it's an abundance of hay and everything, corn stalks if we need to, but then even some beet pulp and then distiller's grains.
Yeah.
But what we have here is this is the vacuum suction, and the seal is really important. If there would be even a little hair crack, it probably would read that there's something wrong with row 9 in the monitor. And so these are called bowls, and I'll do this now because I know it's not filled up with seed. If it had seed in it, there'd be
Gravity would do its thing.
And so this has a spot for every soybean.
Okay.
Every seed will sit in there, and then it makes its way. We'll look at a seed belt here in just a moment. And so each seed travels in this brush down into the furrow. So instead of dropping with gravity or just falling in a tube.
It really places it precisely in there.
Yep.
Right when it hits to the ground.
Yep.
Gravity takes
So
it
when we're
out.
going through the field and these discs are turning,
That's what allows you to go at a higher speed then.
this is the high speed.
Key. Okay.
And so typically we say don't go over no more than 6 mile an hour planting. This one here says you can go 8 to 9 if you want.
Yeah.
Which obviously at 60 feet wide and going 2 mile an hour faster.
Makes a big difference.
Yep, it does. And so what we have back here, and watch for the grease squirrels, I maybe already got into it, but
Yep, don't touch that.
this is going to be our closing wheel depth. And so when we set this is going to obviously be packing that furrow, and so we don't want to pack it too hard, but we need it firm. When we start the planter up in the morning, we usually will start the vacuums, and it's almost like a small airplane turbine getting going. Yeah. And then you get them warmed up, and so just a couple things quick before so this air compressor here, that runs these airbags, and that's all part of the downforce on our ride. And then, excuse me, no, not right now. And then we actually are able to control this other side here is hydraulic or pneumatic as well, so we can control downforce and upforce. We can get it in the perfect spot. And you can see compaction on the map. So we got air compressor, but then we also can apply capture, or a generic form of capture it's basically like rootworm treatment we can put right on the seed. And so that'd be an insecticide.
Right, but again, not broadcasting it and overusing it. You're putting it right here, right where it needs to be.
Right where we want. And it actually allows us to not have to use a triple stack seed, which saves costs that way. We put that on with the fertilizer.
Every time South Dakota soybeans are sold, a portion of those proceeds goes to fund the South Dakota Soybean Research and Promotion Council to enhance opportunities for soybean farmers by investing checkoff dollars into marketing, research, education, and promotional initiatives.
We're a 9-member board who are elected from all the various districts throughout South Dakota, and every part of South Dakota is covered in our territory. And obviously there are more soybeans raised in various locations, especially on the eastern, even third of South Dakota. And so we determine basically the whole strategic plan for soybean checkoff investments each year. So 0.5% of every soybean sale that is conducted in South Dakota or for South Dakota soybeans comes into the South Dakota soybean checkoff, and then we send half of that, which is a federal charter, we send half of that to the United Soybean Board. And they handle the research, promotion, and everything in terms of expanding our markets for soybeans on the national level throughout all the United States. And then we handle everything in South Dakota. And so much of our work, certainly research is a big part. We want to find not only new uses for soybeans, but obviously take care of the soybeans that we do raise as far as various diseases and making sure we're working through all that. Communications and sharing our message on why South Dakota soybean farmers are an important part of all of our economy here, especially in South Dakota. And then we always are working on ways to expand the new uses, and whether that's domestically. So we're always excited when we have new crush facilities that can take a whole soybean and transform that whole soybean into soybean oil, soybean meal. That soybean oil is then taken on to either biodiesel, renewable diesel, and then international markets, very important for us. We want to make sure that we can expand our reach into those countries, especially right now. Southeast Asia is a big, big area that we want to continue to tap into that resource. They appreciate our South Dakota soybean farmers and United States soybean farmers on what we raise here sustainably in terms of making sure we practice the various whether it's no-till and minimum tillage, and then just using what's important to raise those soybeans. We're not like Brazil where they cut down and chop out rainforest just to raise soybeans. We don't do that here in South Dakota. So we will expand those markets, but we don't forget our friends in the livestock industry. Poultry, swine, very, very big users of soybean meal, and we're proud to have those partnerships. There's a soy-based turf that's used in terms of football fields, soccer fields. Obviously, it's a eco-friendly type of application. Goodyear tires are using soybean oils in their process, so we're constantly looking for ways to eliminate the petroleum side of things, to replace that with a green renewable source such as soybean oil. But we've also found ways that, even in, there's some research being done on, absorbents, kitty litters. We looked at the soybean dust, which is a talc product that's used for farmers when we are planting soybeans, and so we see some of those areas, but then not to discount even human nutrition. We're always looking for ways. It may be a lot easier to work with those underserved countries or even underserved areas in the United States where maybe they can't quite afford a type of meat product, but maybe that we can have some soy-based options for them. And again, me as a livestock producer, I'm always about, yes, let's keep that option there, but we can't forget the protein that's packed into soybeans. And what we do in terms of South Dakota here especially is we have a higher amino acid content in our soybean meal that's produced here.